The last thing Catherine Martin remembered was that she had been eating Andy's mints on the sofa with her cat, Mrs. Carruthers, watching a Simpsons marathon. She awoke in a start. Was her mother in the house? Was her mother attempting to straighten her dishwater blonde hair that Catherine had intended to dye bleach blonde? But the brown never faded away, so it looked chlorine bleached. To Catherine's delight, the pawing on her forehead was just Mrs. Carruthers. Yet, Catherine's mom was in the house, only on the television. U.S. Senator Ruth Martin opposes the death penalty for murderers, the news droned. Catherine rolled over and found the remote between her size 14 thighs. She clicked off the television and checked the time on the VCR. The blue light from its clock shone 8 p.m. Shit, I'm going to be late. Recently, Catherine had begun working as a pharmacy technician at the local Walgreens. She underwent training at a community college to obtain a certificate to do this job that paid only a bit more than minimum wage. But Catherine swore up and down that she was happy, that she did not regret dropping out of college, that she wanted a simple life. Simple it was. On the weekend, she worked on Friday and Saturday nights, 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. Mitzi, Catherine's sister, was studying at Vanderbilt, studying with honors at that. Mitzi nagged Catherine about her shifts. Aren't you afraid who you'll run into during those wee hours? Mom, say something, Mitzi urged their mother during a Sunday family dinner. But their mother, Ruth Martin, remained unfazed. Mitzi was the prize daughter, and Catherine was the quitter in Ruth's eyes. Catherine knew if she were to go missing, her mother would remain unfazed. Yet if Mitzi so much as missed a family dinner on Sunday evenings, their mother Ruth would have sent a search party after Mitzi. Catherine was working through her shame and rejection with her therapist. That was one good thing for her Walgreens job. It had afforded her health insurance. The refrain, "You are making good choices," ran through her head. Her therapist had encouraged positive affirmations. Catherine thought of these as she filled Mrs. Carruthers' bowl with kibble, grabbed her Disney Aladdin thermos, and headed out the door to make it to her shift. On her way to the car, an elderly woman in a salmon cardigan and matching boots was struggling with a walker to pick up after her Shih Tzu. "Oh, ma'am, you are so good to clean up after your dog, but let me." And Catherine gladly helped the stranger. The phrase, "pay it forward," was a mantra for Catherine these days. If her college roommate, before Catherine had dropped out of traditional 4-year college, had not paid it forward, Catherine may not have been alive today. You see, Catherine was not always a size 14. But a lifetime of being dubbed the plain and sloppy one in her family had given her a complex. Who said mothers never give you anything? When Catherine had been a freshman at the University of Tennessee, she quickly gained the 15 pounds handed to young women upon college entry. She would stare at herself in the mirror naked, noticing the contour of her hips and the pouch beneath her belly button. And that's how she developed her penchant for throwing up. It wasn't all of a sudden. She began by limiting her food intake. Dorm cafeteria food made this easy. Half a slice of lasagna with 2 carrot sticks were her early college meals. But even with severe caloric restriction, she was still packing on the pounds. So, Catherine engaged in more drastic measures, sneaking Hostess snowballs from the dorm vending machines in the middle of the night and then shoving her finger down her throat. I have a strong gag reflux, she thought, as if she were made for bulimia, as if it agreed with her. In the early part of the spring semester of 1991, Catherine hid her figure in oversized sweaters and baggy jeans. She had no perception of the shape of her actual body. By spring break of that year, she feared going home. Her mouth was covered with sores, her nails brittle, and her hair had thinned. She voiced her concerns to her roommate, Becky, and Becky laid it on the line. "Catherine, if you are worried that your mother and sister are going to berate you for how you look, you'd be better off eating and not throwing up afterwards." Catherine cracked at the recognition of her condition. She began to sob. Becky brought the residence counselor to their dorm room. That night, they pulled an all-nighter, surrounded by pamphlets about disordered eating, bulimia, and the YA novel Mirrors Never Lie. If it wasn't for Becky, Catherine would have not taken the steps to make the call to the Waverly Center, where she got the help she needed. But to attend the Waverly program, Catherine needed money that her mother refused to send her. "You've done it again, Catherine. You've managed to bring shame to this family," Ruth shouted over the phone to Catherine, who sat frozen in her dorm room, twirling the phone cord between her hands. "Again, Mom?" "Yes, the first time was when I caught you driving underage." "But it wasn't my fault, Mom. Dad made me do it." "It figures. You are your father's daughter." "That's not fair, Mom." "What's not fair," Ruth raged, "is that you are undermining my political aspirations." And that was that. Catherine hung up the phone, began the withdrawal process from undergrad, and found her way, which happened to be becoming a pharmacy tech so she could work at Walgreens. Not glamorous, but a way. And it was the way that got her the help she needed. Catherine yearned to talk to her father, but he had been sent away for a very long time. Her father was Ernest Martin, a famous embezzler in Tennessee who was imprisoned when Catherine was just 13. She knew her father was not an honest man. She knew he liked danger, and she knew that he had subjected her to risks as a child. But she missed him now. His gruffly voice, and how he encouraged her to jump from the swings or from tree branches, chanting, "There's no such thing as fear, girl! No such thing!" Catherine pulled up to the parking lot behind the Walgreens. Employees had to park in the back. She checked her lip gloss in the mirror and was happy to see that she had made it to her shift on time. When she entered the pharmacy, she smiled at Avinash, the Indian pharmacist who was working hard to learn Spanish to help the Spanish-speaking customers as well. Catherine thought to herself, I may not have the perfect job or the perfect life, but I'm a survivor. I'm here to help people. The graveyard shift was pretty calm. No scares of local addicts looking for a fix, mostly old people and mental health patients who'd forgotten to fill their meds earlier that day. Catherine thought, everybody struggles with time. It's okay. Pay it forward. The night waned on. The clock on the wall was stuck at 3:45 a.m. at one point. But it must just have seemed that way as Catherine willed for her shift to end. After she got off her shift that night, or early morning rather, Catherine saw another opportunity to pay it forward. This time, a man, a very odd-looking man, tall and white with gray hair, was struggling to put a sofa into his white van. Catherine did not hesitate to ask him if he needed help. He responded in a gravelly voice, and he asked her to grab the far end of the sofa and help him put it into the backside of the van. Catherine, a bit reluctantly, climbed into the back of the van, sealing her fate.